Commander Hyun-woo Kim stood on the bridge of the Baekdu, watching the stars through the main screen. The ship was hidden deep under the Pacific Ocean, like all of Earth's real warships. For 300 years, humans had kept their true power secret from the galaxy. The aliens watching Earth saw only farmers, small cities, and old rockets that barely reached the moon. Hyun-woo touched the control panel. The Baekdu was bigger than most alien battleships, but no one in space knew it existed. Its weapons could destroy entire fleets. Its engines could cross the galaxy in weeks, but it stayed hidden, waiting for the day when Earth would need it. "Sir, we have a message from Admiral Lee," said Lieutenant Bo Ra-shin. She was young but smart, one of the best pilots in the hidden fleet. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls. "Put it on screen," Hyun-woo said. Admiral Dong-jun Lee appeared on the screen. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent his whole life preparing for a war that might never come. Behind him, Hyun-woo could see the command center built inside a hollow asteroid. Hundreds of people worked at computers, watching signals from across the galaxy. "All commanders, listen carefully," Admiral Lee said. "The Vrexian Empire has noticed Earth. Their ships are moving toward our solar system. This is not a drill. After 3 centuries of waiting, the test has begun." Hyun-woo felt his heart beat faster. Every human military officer had trained for this moment. They had studied alien languages, learned about enemy weapons, and practiced battle plans. But they had always wondered if the day would really come. Dr. So-young Park was in her lab on the moon when she got the alert. For 20 years, she had been listening to alien radio signals. The aliens thought humans were too stupid to understand their messages. They were wrong. So-young spoke 12 alien languages and knew more about galactic politics than most alien diplomats. She looked at her latest data. The Vrexian fleet had 43 ships. They were big and powerful, designed to scare primitive worlds into giving up without a fight. The Vrexians had conquered hundreds of planets this way. They arrived, demanded surrender, and took whatever they wanted. "They think we're helpless," So-young said to her assistant. "They have no idea what's waiting for them." The Vrexians were not the only ones watching Earth. The Galactic Council had many member species, and most of them thought humans were boring. Earth had no space colonies, no faster-than-light ships, and no energy weapons. Human cities were small and quiet. Human governments seemed weak and divided. What the aliens could not see were the massive shipyards hidden in asteroid belts. They could not detect the weapons factories built inside dead moons. They did not know about the millions of soldiers training in secret bases. Earth looked peaceful because humans wanted it to look that way. Counselor Mina Choi sat in her office in Geneva, reading reports from around the world. She was Earth's top diplomat, but the aliens did not know she existed. Her job was to prepare for the day when humans would finally talk to other species. She had spent years learning about alien cultures and customs. "The Vrexians are cruel, but predictable," she told her team. "They always give the same surrender demand. They expect fear and panic. When they don't get it, they get confused." Mina had read every report about Vrexian conquests. The pattern was always the same. They arrived with overwhelming force, broadcast their demands, and waited for the target world to beg for mercy. Most planets surrendered within hours. The few that tried to fight were destroyed quickly, but Earth was different. Earth had been preparing for this exact situation for 300 years. Captain Tae-ho Yoon was aboard the stealth destroyer Seongsan, hidden behind Jupiter's largest moon. His ship was invisible to alien sensors, like all human warships. The Seongsan was small and fast, designed for surprise attacks. Its weapons could punch through the armor of ships 10 times larger. "Captain, I'm detecting the Vrexian fleet," reported engineer Ha-Jin Kang. "They're still 2 days away, but I can see their energy signatures. 43 ships, just like our intelligence predicted." Tae-ho nodded. Ha-Jin was the man who had designed Earth's cloaking technology. It was based on ideas that human scientists had discovered decades ago but kept secret from the galaxy. The aliens thought humans were centuries behind in technology. They were wrong about that too. "Send a coded message to all ships," Tejo ordered. "Tell them the enemy is coming. Operation Silent Thunder begins now." Across the solar system, hundreds of hidden ships received the message. Captains who had waited their entire careers for this moment finally got their orders. Crews who had trained in secret for decades prepared their weapons. The greatest military secret in galactic history was about to be revealed. The Vrexian fleet commander was General Vorthak, a tall alien with 4 arms and red eyes. He had conquered 37 worlds for his empire. He expected Earth to be easy, just another primitive planet full of scared farmers. "Begin scanning the target system," Vorthak ordered his crew. "I want to know how many cities they have, how many people, and what kind of weapons. Though I doubt they have any real weapons at all." His sensors showed him exactly what 3 centuries of human planning wanted him to see. Earth looked weak and defenseless. There were no military satellites, no battle stations, no patrol ships. The humans seemed completely unprepared for war. "Perfect," Vorthak said with a cruel smile. "This will be the easiest conquest of my career. Send the standard surrender message. Tell these humans they have 12 hours to give up, or we will take their world by force." But on Earth, Admiral Lee was already giving very different orders. In hidden bases around the world, massive doors were opening. Ships that had never seen sunlight were rising from underground hangars. Weapons that had been tested in secret were being loaded and armed. The galaxy thought Earth was defenseless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Hyunwoo looked at his crew. These men and women had devoted their lives to this moment. They had kept humanity's greatest secret, even from their own families. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do. "All stations, report ready," he said. One by one, his officers confirmed that the Bekdu was prepared for battle. The ship's weapons were charged, its armor was sealed, and its engines were ready to reveal humanity's true power to an unsuspecting galaxy. The long silence was almost over. General Vorthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominator. The massive Vrexian warship was 3 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Behind it, 42 other ships formed a battle formation that had terrified countless worlds. "We are entering the human solar system," reported his navigation officer. "All ships are in position for standard conquest protocol." Vorthak looked at the blue and green planet ahead of them. Earth seemed so small and peaceful. White clouds covered parts of its surface, and he could see the lights of human cities on the dark side. It looked exactly like every other primitive world he had conquered. "Open communication channels," Vorthak ordered. "Time to deliver the surrender demand." His communication officer worked at his controls. Soon, every radio and television on Earth would receive the same message. Vorthak had given this speech dozens of times before. The words always had the same effect: panic, fear, and quick surrender. "People of Earth," Vorthak began, his voice broadcast across the planet. "I am General Vorthak of the Vrexian Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our great civilization. You have 12 hours to surrender completely. Lay down any weapons you possess. Gather in your major cities. Prepare to welcome your new rulers. If you resist, your planet will be burned to ash. This is your only warning." The message ended. Vorthak waited for the usual response. Desperate transmissions from human leaders begging for mercy or trying to negotiate. Most species started broadcasting surrender messages within minutes, but Earth was silent. "Strange," said his sensor officer. "I'm not detecting any response at all. No emergency broadcasts, no military communications, no panic signals." Vorthak frowned. This was unusual. Even the bravest species showed some reaction to his demands. Fear, anger, defiance, something. But the humans were completely quiet. Maybe they're too primitive to understand, suggested his weapons officer. Some species take time to process what's happening to them. No, Vorthak said slowly. I've studied their languages. They understand us perfectly. This silence means something else. On Earth, the silence was not confusion. It was preparation. Admiral Dong-Jun Lee stood in his command center, watching screens that showed every Vrexian ship. Human sensors were much better than the aliens realized. Earth could track enemy movements from billions of kilometers away, all. Fleet commanders report status, Lee said into his communicator. Battle Group Alpha ready, came the voice of Admiral Kyung-Min Song. Her ships were hidden behind the moon, invisible to Vrexian scanners. Battle Group Beta ready, reported Admiral Woo-Seok Chong. His forces waited in the asteroid belt, disguised as Space Orcs. Battle Group Gamma ready, said Admiral Sujin Moon. Her fleet was closest to Earth, ready to protect the planet if any enemies got through. One by one, 12 battle groups confirmed they were in position. Over 800 ships waited in the darkness of space, all of them invisible to alien sensors. It was the largest military force in galactic history, and no one except humans knew it existed. Captain Tae-Ho Yoon watched the Vrexian fleet from his hiding place behind Jupiter's moon. The Seongsan was so well hidden that enemy ships could pass within a few kilometers and never detect it. His crew was completely silent, following procedures they had practiced thousands of times. Captain, whispered Engineer Ha-Jin Kang, the Admiral is asking for final weapon checks. Tae-Ho nodded. He touched his control panel, running diagnostics on every system. The Seongsan was armed with weapons that could destroy ships much larger than itself. Its missiles used technology that was centuries ahead of anything the Vrexians had. All weapons green, he reported quietly. Engines ready. Cloak holding steady. Lieutenant Bo-Ra Shin sat at her pilot station, her hands steady on the controls. She had trained her whole life for this moment. Her parents thought she was just a regular space pilot, flying cargo ships between Earth and Mars. They had no idea she was actually one of humanity's best combat pilots. Lieutenant, Tae-Ho said softly. Are you ready? Bo-Ra smiled. I've been ready since I was 10 years old, sir. General Vorthak was getting impatient. 6 hours had passed since his surrender demand, and Earth was still completely silent. No messages, no emergency broadcasts, no signs of panic. His sensors showed normal activity on the planet, cities functioning normally, ships moving peacefully through space, everything calm and quiet. This is impossible, he muttered. Every species reacts to our arrival. Fear, anger, desperate negotiations, something. But these humans act like we don't exist. His intelligence officer looked up from his station. Sir, our long-range sensors are not detecting any military activity. No ships moving to attack positions, no weapons being charged, no defensive shields being raised. They seem completely unprepared for war. Maybe they're already surrendering, suggested the weapons officer. Maybe their silence means they accept defeat. Vorthak considered this. It was possible. Some very primitive species simply gave up when they saw his fleet. They realized they had no chance and submitted without even trying to fight. Begin descent toward the planet, Vorthak ordered. Standard conquest formation. If they want to surrender quietly, we'll make it easy for them. The Vrexian fleet moved deeper into the solar system. 43 massive warships approached Earth like a dark cloud, their weapons ready to destroy anything that opposed them. But they were not alone in the darkness. Admiral Lee watched the enemy fleet on his main screen. The Vrexians were following, their usual pattern, moving slowly and confidently toward Earth. They had no idea they were flying into the most carefully planned trap in military history. All ships, Lee said into his communicator, prepare for Operation Silent Thunder. 3 centuries of preparation end today. Show them what humanity really is. Across the solar system, hidden ships began to move. Captains who had waited their entire careers for this moment finally received the orders they had dreamed of hearing. Commander Hyunwoo Kim felt his heart racing as the Baekdu began to rise from its hiding place in the ocean depths. Around him, his crew worked with perfect precision, following procedures they knew by heart. "Weapons charged," reported his weapons officer. "Engines online," said his engineer. "All systems ready," confirmed his navigator. Hyunwoo looked at the screen showing the approaching Vrexian fleet. In a few minutes, those aliens would discover that Earth was not the helpless world they thought it was. "Remember," he told his crew, "we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every species in the galaxy that these bullies have conquered. Today, the Vrexian Empire learns what happens when they pick on the wrong planet." The silence was about to end. General Vorthak noticed the first anomaly when his fleet was halfway to Earth. "Sir," his sensor officer said with confusion in his voice, "I'm detecting some unusual readings. There seem to be large objects moving in various parts of the system, but I can't get clear scans of them." "What kind of objects?" Vorthak demanded. "Unknown, sir. They're big, but our sensors can't identify them clearly. It's like they're partially invisible or something." Vorthak felt the first touch of worry. In all his years of conquest, he had never encountered anything his sensors couldn't identify. "Increase scanning power," he ordered. "I want to know what's out there." But even as his crew worked frantically at their controls, more mysterious contacts appeared on their screens. Dozens of them, then hundreds. Something was very wrong. The mask was about to fall, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Dongjun Lee stood in his command center, watching the final countdown on his main screen. 300 years of secret preparation were about to be revealed to the galaxy. His hand hovered over a red button that would change everything. "All fleet commanders confirm ready status," he said into his communicator. "Battle Group Alpha ready to decloak," came Admiral Song's voice. "Battle Group Beta weapons hot," reported Admiral Chang. "Battle Group Gamma in position," confirmed Admiral Moon. 12 voices responded, each commanding dozens of ships hidden throughout the solar system. Lee looked at the screen showing the Vrexian fleet approaching Earth. General Vorthak's ships were spread out in their standard attack formation, confident and unaware of the trap closing around them. "Operation Silent Thunder is now active," Lee announced. "Drop the veils. Show them what we really are." Across the solar system, the greatest military secret in galactic history was revealed. General Vorthak was studying his sensor readings when space itself seemed to explode around him. Massive shapes appeared from nowhere, materializing like ghosts becoming solid. His bridge crew shouted in alarm as their screens filled with contacts. "What is happening?" Vorthak roared. "Where did these ships come from?" His sensor officer's voice was shaking. "Sir, I count over 800 vessels. They just appeared simultaneously throughout the system. Our long-range scanners show nothing. Then suddenly they're everywhere." The ships surrounding the Vrexian fleet were enormous. The smallest were as large as Vorthak's heavy cruisers. The largest were bigger than anything in the Vrexian Navy. They moved with perfect coordination, forming a sphere around the alien. "Invaders!" "Impossible," Vorthak whispered. "Earth is primitive. They have no space fleet. Our intelligence reports showed nothing like this." But the evidence was right in front of him. Hundreds of human warships hung in space, their hulls dark and menacing. Strange energy readings came from their weapons. Their engines produced power signatures unlike anything in Galactic Council databases. Captain Seung-ho Jang stood on the bridge of the Dreadnought Taeguk, humanity's flagship. The massive ship was 5 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy entire fleets. Around him, his crew worked calmly at their stations. They had trained for this moment their whole lives. "Sir," reported Weapons Officer Eugene Lim, "all weapon systems are charged and ready. Target solutions locked on 43 enemy vessels." Seung-ho nodded. Yu Jin was one of the deadliest tactical minds in human space. She had studied Vrexian ship designs for 20 years, learning exactly where to hit them for maximum damage. "Communications," Shang Ho said. "Open a channel to the enemy fleet." Communications specialist Junki Park worked at his console. "Channel open, sir. Broadcasting on all Vrexian frequencies." Shang Ho looked at the screen showing Vorthak's flagship. For 3 centuries, humans had watched alien species conquer and enslave weaker worlds. Today, that pattern would end. "General Vorthak," Shang Ho said calmly. "I am Captain Sung Ho Jang of the Terran Defense Fleet. You came here expecting to find a defenseless world. You were wrong." On the Vrexian flagship, General Vorthak stared at the human captain on his screen. The man looked calm and confident, not at all like the terrified primitive Vorthak had expected to meet. "This is impossible," Vorthak said. "Our intelligence showed that Earth has no advanced technology." "Where did these ships come from?" Shang Ho smiled. "You spent 300 years watching us, but you only saw what we wanted you to see. You thought silence meant weakness. You mistook our patience for helplessness. We are not the victims you came here to conquer. We are the reckoning you never saw coming." Commander Hyun-woo Kim watched from the bridge of the Baekdu as the human fleet revealed itself. Ship after ship became visible, dropping their cloaking fields in perfect synchronization. The sight was beautiful and terrifying. "All ships report." "Ready for combat," announced Lieutenant Bo Ra-shin. "Enemy fleet is completely surrounded." Hyun-woo nodded. The Vrexians were trapped in the center of a sphere of human warships. Every escape route was blocked. Their weapons were aimed at targets on all sides. There was nowhere to run. "Open a fleet-wide channel," Hyun-woo ordered. When the channel opened, he could hear the voices of hundreds of human captains. Men and women who had devoted their lives to protecting Earth were finally ready to act. "This is Commander Kim of the Baekdu," he announced. "Today we show the galaxy that humanity will not be conquered. We have prepared for this moment for 3 centuries. Every ship, every weapon, every strategy was designed for this battle. Let's make it count." General Vorthak tried to contact his empire for reinforcements, but the humans were jamming all communications. His fleet was cut off from the outside galaxy, trapped inside a cage of enemy ships. "Sir," his tactical officer said with fear in his voice, "I'm analyzing their weapon signatures. These aren't primitive weapons. The energy levels are off our charts. Some of these ships are reading as more powerful than our entire fleet combined." Vorthak felt cold fear in his stomach. The Vrexian Empire had conquered worlds for 1,000 years. Their ships were the most advanced in the galaxy. But these human vessels seemed to be from a completely different level of technology. "How is this possible?" he muttered. "They're supposed to be centuries behind us." Captain Tai-ho Yoon maneuvered the Seong-san into attack position. His stealth destroyer was small compared to the Dreadnoughts, but it was fast and deadly. Engineer. Ha-Jin Kang had equipped it with the most advanced weapons humanity had ever built. "Captain," Ha-Jin reported, "our missiles are locked onto 3 enemy cruisers. Each missile carries enough firepower to penetrate their shields and destroy their main reactors." Tae-ho looked at his target. The Vrexian cruiser was 1 kilometer long and had terrorized dozens of worlds. Its crew probably thought they were invincible. They were about to learn otherwise. "Lieutenant Shin," he said to his pilot, "bring us to optimal firing range." Bo-Ra's hands moved smoothly over her controls. The Seong-san glided through space like a hunting shark, invisible to enemy sensors until the moment it struck. Back on the Taguk, Captain Seung-ho received a message from Admiral Lee. The time for talking was over. The Vrexians had been given their chance to leave peacefully. They had refused. "All ships," Seung-ho announced over the fleet communication system, "you are authorized to engage. Show them what 3 centuries of preparation can accomplish. Yu Jin." Lim smiled coldly as she targeted the enemy flagship. "Firing main batteries," she announced. The Taeguk unleashed its weapons. Beams of pure energy lanced across space, striking the Vrexian flagship with devastating force. The alien ship's shields flared and collapsed instantly. Its armor, designed to resist the most powerful weapons in the galaxy, melted like ice under a blowtorch. Across the battle zone, 800 human ships opened fire simultaneously. The darkness of space lit up with weapons fire as humanity revealed its true power. Missiles that moved faster than light found their targets with perfect accuracy. Energy beams that could cut through planetary crust sliced enemy ships in half. The Vrexian fleet, which had conquered countless worlds, lasted exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds. General Vorthak died still trying to understand what had happened. His last thought was confusion about how such a primitive species could possess such devastating weapons. When the battle ended, there was nothing left of the Vrexian fleet but glowing debris. Not a single human ship had been damaged. The victory was so complete that watching alien civilizations across the galaxy struggled to believe their sensors. Captain Xiong Ho opened a new communication channel, this one aimed at the entire galaxy. Every alien species with the technology to listen would hear his words. "This is Captain Xiong Ho Zhang of the Terran Defense Fleet, speaking for the people of Earth," he began. "For 3 centuries, we have watched your empires conquer and enslave weaker species. We have seen worlds burned and civilizations destroyed by those who mistake military power for righteousness. Today, that ends." His voice carried across space to 1,000 different worlds, translated into hundreds of alien languages by communication systems the galaxy had never suspected existed. "We are not conquerors. We are not empire builders. But we will no longer allow the strong to prey upon the weak. The galaxy has new guardians now, and we will not be silent anymore." The age of galactic bullies was over. Humanity had announced itself to the universe, and the universe would never be the same. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within hours of the battle, every major alien civilization knew that the Vrexian fleet had been completely destroyed by a species they had considered primitive. Emergency meetings were called on 100 different worlds. Leaders who had ruled for centuries suddenly found themselves facing a reality they could not understand. Ambassador Sujin Moon sat in her office on Earth, reading reports from listening posts scattered throughout the galaxy. Human spies had been monitoring alien communications for decades, and now those hidden networks were providing valuable intelligence about how different species were reacting to humanity's revelation. "The Thraxian Commonwealth is in complete panic," she told her assistant. "They're pulling all their conquest fleets back to defend their home worlds. The Kalari Federation has gone to maximum alert. Even the Zephyrian Collective is calling emergency council sessions." Sujin had spent 20 years preparing for this moment. She was Earth's top expert on alien diplomacy, though no alien government knew she existed. Her job was to guide humanity through the complex politics of first contact with dozens of different species. "Ma'am," her assistant said, "we're receiving our first official communication from an alien government. The Galactic Council wants to talk." Sujin smiled. The Galactic Council had ignored humanity for 3 centuries. Now they wanted to negotiate. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted completely in the space of a few hours. General Wusok Chang stood in the war room, beneath the mountains of Korea, studying holographic displays that showed the entire galaxy. Red dots marked alien military bases. Blue dots showed human ships and installations. For the first time in history, there were more blue dots than red ones. "Sir," reported his aide, "our scout fleets are in position throughout the galaxy. Every major alien civilization is now under observation by human forces." Chang nodded. He was the strategic mastermind behind humanity's expansion into galactic space. While the politicians prepared for diplomacy, his job was to make sure Earth was ready for anything the aliens might try. "What about the Vrexian Empire's response?" he asked. "Their high command is demanding an immediate counterattack. the aide replied. They're mobilizing their entire fleet, over 2,000 ships. They want revenge for what happened to General Vorthak. Chang studied the tactical display. The Vrexian Empire was still the largest military force in the galaxy, even after losing their conquest fleet. But Chang had been planning for this possibility for decades. Send orders to Admiral Song, he said calmly. Operation Thunderstrike is authorized. Time to show them that destroying one fleet was just the beginning. Intelligence officer Minji Huang worked in a facility that officially did not exist. Hidden beneath the ocean floor, her team monitored every communication in the galaxy. They knew which alien leaders were planning war and which ones wanted peace. They tracked ship movements, decoded secret messages, and gathered information that would have taken other species decades to collect. Ma'am, one of her analysts reported, the Kalari Federation is trying to contact other species about forming an alliance against humanity. They're scared that Earth will start conquering alien worlds like the Vrexians did. Minji had expected this reaction. Fear was a natural response when someone's understanding of the universe suddenly changed. The aliens had believed they knew everything about military power in the galaxy. Humanity's victory had shattered that confidence. What about the smaller species? She asked. The ones who have been conquered by empires like the Vrexians? Very different reaction, the analyst said with a smile. The Altarian Republic is celebrating. The Centauri Alliance is asking if we need allies. Dozens of smaller civilizations are sending messages of support. They see us as liberators, not conquerors. This was exactly what Minji had hoped for. Humanity's message had been clear. They were not interested in building an empire. They wanted to protect the weak from the strong. On the bridge of the Taeguk, Captain Seung-ho Jang received a priority message from Earth Command. Admiral Lee's face appeared on the screen, looking serious but satisfied. Captain, Lee said, congratulations on a perfect victory, but the real test is just beginning. The Vrexian Empire is sending their main fleet to attack Earth. Over 2,000 ships, including their flagship Emperor's Wrath. Seung-ho was not surprised. He had studied Vrexian psychology for years. They could not accept defeat, especially not from a species they considered inferior. When do they arrive? He asked. 6 days, Lee replied. That gives us time to implement the next phase of our plan. You know what to do. Seung-ho smiled. Phase 2 of Operation Silent Thunder was even more ambitious than Phase 1. Instead of just defending Earth, humanity was about to demonstrate that they could project power anywhere in the galaxy. Understood, sir, he said. We'll be ready. Admiral Kyungmin Song commanded the largest battle group in human space. Her 150 ships were hidden in the Vega system, waiting for orders. When Chang's message arrived, she felt a mixture of excitement and responsibility. All captains, she announced over the fleet communication system. We have new orders. The Vrexian Empire thinks they can intimidate Earth by sending their entire fleet. They're about to learn that humanity doesn't just defend. We strike back. Her target was the Vrexian home system, heavily defended by orbital stations and patrol fleets. No enemy had ever successfully attacked it. Song was about to change that. Navigation, set course for Vrexia Prime, she ordered. Maximum speed. It's time to show them what happens when you threaten Earth. The alien reactions varied wildly across the galaxy. The warrior species like the Thraxians and Kalari saw humanity as a new threat to be destroyed. The merchant species like the Centauri saw them as potential customers and allies. The older, wiser species like the Zephyrians were simply confused about how they had missed such an advanced civilization for so long. President Da-un Kim addressed the Earth's population from her office in Seoul. Billions of humans watched as their leader explained what was happening. My fellow humans, she began, today marks the end of our isolation. For 3 centuries, we have prepared for this moment in secret. We built ships, trained soldiers, and developed technology while the galaxy thought we were primitive farmers. That deception has served its purpose. Dayun looked directly into the camera. But we are not conquerors. We will not repeat the mistakes of alien empires. Our strength will be used to protect, not to dominate. We offer friendship to those who want peace, and we promise swift justice to those who threaten the innocent. On alien worlds across the galaxy, leaders watched the human president's speech with varying degrees of fear, hope, and confusion. Some saw an opportunity for new alliances. Others saw a threat that had to be eliminated. The Galactic Council met in emergency session on their neutral space station. Representatives from 50 different species argued about how to respond to humanity's emergence. Some wanted war, others wanted negotiation, and a few wanted to simply ignore Earth and hope the problem would go away. Counselor Vextar of the Zephyrian Collective was one of the oldest beings in the galaxy. He had lived for over 1,000 years and seen the rise and fall of many civilizations, but he had never seen anything like what humanity had just accomplished. "We have all made the same mistake," he told the assembly. "We assumed that because we could not see something, it did not exist. The humans have taught us that silence can be more dangerous than the loudest war cry." The debate continued for hours, but no clear decision emerged. The galaxy's leaders were too shocked and divided to agree on anything. Meanwhile, human fleets moved through space with purpose and precision. Ships that had been hidden for centuries took up positions throughout the galaxy. Humanity was no longer hiding. They were announcing their presence to every alien civilization, making it clear that Earth's children could reach any star. Captain Tai Ho Yoon led a small squadron toward the Kalari border. His mission was to observe and report, but also to make sure the Kalari knew they were being watched. The message was subtle but clear. Any aggressive moves toward Earth would be detected and countered. "Captain," Engineer Ha Jin Kang reported, "we're detecting a large Kalari fleet gathering near their military headquarters. It looks like they're preparing for something big." Taeho was not surprised. The Kalari were known for their pride and their tendency to attack first and think later. But they were about to discover that humanity was ready for anything they might try. "Send a coded message to Earth Command," he ordered. "Let them know the Kalari are mobilizing. We may need reinforcements soon." Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships appeared in strategic locations, always just visible enough to be detected, but never threatening unless threatened first. The message was clear. Humanity was watching everything, ready to act if necessary. The galaxy that had dismissed Earth as insignificant was learning to take humanity very seriously indeed. The age of alien empires bullying weaker species was coming to an end, and a new era was about to begin. 6 months had passed since the destruction of the Vrexian fleet, and the galaxy had become a very different place. President Da-eun Kim stood at the window of her office, looking up at the stars that no longer seemed so distant. Earth had received over 300 diplomatic messages from alien civilizations. Some offered friendship, others proposed trade agreements, and a few still threatened war. "Madam President," her aide announced, "the Galactic Council delegation has arrived. They're requesting permission to land at the Seoul spaceport." Dayun smiled. The same Galactic Council that had ignored humanity for centuries was now sending their most important ambassadors to Earth. They wanted to invite humanity to join their organization, not as a minor member, but as one of the leading powers. "Tell them they're welcome," she said, "but remind them that they're visiting a sovereign world, not a conquered territory." The delegation included representatives from 12 major alien civilizations. They came in ships that were impressive by galactic standards, but seemed small and primitive compared to the human vessels that escorted them to Earth. The aliens were nervous, uncertain how to approach a species that had suddenly revealed itself to be more advanced than anyone had imagined. Fleet Admiral Kyung-min Song commanded humanity's expanding interstellar navy from her flagship, the massive dreadnought New Seoul. The ship was even larger than Captain Jang's Taeguk, designed to serve as a mobile command center for operations throughout the galaxy. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving a surrender message from the Vrexian Empire. They're offering to pay tribute to Earth in exchange for peace." Song was not surprised. After Admiral Song's battle group had destroyed 3 major Vrexian military bases and captured their home system, the Empire had lost the will to fight. Their fleet of 2,000 ships had never even reached Earth. Song's forces had intercepted and defeated them near the galactic core. "Tell them we don't want tribute," Song replied. "We want them to free every world they've conquered and pay compensation to the species they've enslaved. If they agree to that, we'll consider peace." The Vrexian response came quickly. They agreed to all of humanity's demands. The once mighty empire was now just another alien civilization, humbled and desperate to avoid further conflict with Earth. Dr. Jiwoo Ryu worked in a research facility that had been built specifically for sharing human technology with alien allies. The building was on the surface, visible to everyone. A dramatic change from the secret laboratories where humanity had developed its advanced science. "The Altarian Republic is very interested in our medical technology," she told her team. "They're offering to share their knowledge of terraforming in exchange for our cancer treatment techniques." Jiwoo had spent her career developing technologies that could benefit all intelligent life, not just humans. Now she had the chance to share those discoveries with species across the galaxy. It was exactly the kind of peaceful cooperation that humanity had hoped to achieve. "What about the Centauri Alliance?" asked her assistant. "They want our faster-than-light communication systems," Jiwoo replied. "In exchange, they're offering access to their trade networks. It could be very profitable for both our species." These kinds of exchanges were happening all over the galaxy. Humanity was discovering that many alien civilizations had technologies that could benefit Earth, while human science could solve problems that had puzzled alien researchers for centuries. Captain Seung-ho Jang had been promoted to admiral and given command of the Third Fleet. His ships patrolled the outer regions of the galaxy, protecting smaller civilizations from aggressive empires. It was exactly the kind of work he had trained his whole life to do. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "we're receiving a distress call from the Tau Ceti system. The Kalari Federation is threatening to invade if the local government doesn't surrender their mining rights." Jang smiled grimly. The Kalari had never learned their lesson. They were still trying to bully weaker species, apparently forgetting what had happened to the Vrexians. "Set course for Tau Ceti," he ordered. Time to remind the Kalari about the new rules. The Third Fleet arrived at Tau Ceti just as the Kalari invasion force was preparing to attack. The alien ships immediately stopped their advance when they detected human vessels. They had learned to be very careful around Earth's military. "Kalari Fleet," Jang broadcast, "you are in violation of the Terran Doctrine. No species may attack another without clear provocation. Withdraw your forces immediately or face the consequences." The Kalari Fleet commander tried to argue, claiming they had legal rights to the system. But when Jang's weapons locked onto his ships, the argument ended quickly. The Kalari Fleet retreated, and the Tau Ceti system remained free. This scene had been repeated dozens of times across the galaxy. Human fleets had become the guardians of galactic peace, their very presence preventing conflicts between alien civilizations. The Terran Doctrine was becoming the new law of space. No strong species could attack a weak one without facing humanity's wrath. Ambassador Su Jin Moon had been appointed as Earth's first representative to the Galactic Council. She worked from a beautiful office on the Council's neutral space station, negotiating agreements and resolving disputes between different alien species. "The Thraxian Commonwealth wants to lodge a formal complaint," her assistant told her. "They claim that human interference is disrupting their traditional expansion plans." Sujin laughed. Tell them that enslaving other species was never a legal tradition, just a criminal activity that went unpunished. Those days are over. The Thraxians, like many warrior species, were having trouble adjusting to the new reality. They had built their entire civilization around conquest and domination. Now they had to find new ways to grow and prosper without victimizing weaker neighbors. But other species were thriving under the new system. Trade between civilizations had increased dramatically. Scientific cooperation was solving problems that had existed for centuries. Art and culture were being shared across species barriers for the first time in galactic history. Intelligence Officer Minji Huang now ran the galaxy's most extensive information network. Her agents operated on hundreds of worlds, monitoring potential threats and gathering intelligence about alien civilizations. But their mission had changed. Instead of preparing for war, they were working to prevent conflicts before they started. "Ma'am," one of her analysts reported, "we've detected unusual military activity in the Rigel sector. The local species seem to be preparing for war with each other." "Send a diplomatic team," Minji ordered, "and position a patrol fleet nearby, just in case. We'll try negotiation first, but we'll be ready to enforce peace if necessary." This was the new way humanity operated. Diplomacy backed by overwhelming military power. Most conflicts could be resolved through talking, but everyone knew that Earth's fleets were ready to intervene if needed. Captain Tae-ho Yoon had been given command of a special exploration fleet. His mission was to search for new civilizations and make peaceful contact with species that had never encountered the Galactic Council. It was dangerous work, but also exciting. "Captain," Engineer Ha-Jin Kang reported, "we're detecting radio signals from the next system. It looks like we've found another intelligent species." Tae-ho nodded. "Begin standard first contact procedures. Let them know we come in peace and that the galaxy is bigger and more welcoming than they might imagine." This was perhaps humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization. The idea that advanced technology should be used to protect and help others, not to conquer and enslave them. Earth's fleets were exploring unknown regions of space, making contact with new species and inviting them to join the galactic community as equals. President Da-un Kim met with the Galactic Council delegation in Seoul's most impressive conference room. The alien ambassadors were polite but nervous, still adjusting to the idea that humanity was now one of the galaxy's major powers. "We would like to offer Earth a permanent seat on the Galactic Council," announced the Zephyrian representative. "Your species has demonstrated wisdom as well as strength. We believe you could help us create a more peaceful galaxy." Dayun considered the offer carefully. Joining the council would give humanity a voice in galactic politics, but it would also mean accepting responsibility for the well-being of countless alien species. "We accept," she said finally, "but with conditions. The council must adopt the Terran Doctrine as galactic law. No species may attack another without clear provocation. The strong must protect the weak, not exploit them." The alien ambassadors agreed quickly. They had little choice. Humanity had the military power to enforce these rules whether the council approved or not. But most of them were genuinely relieved. The old system of constant warfare and conquest had been exhausting and destructive. The new system offered hope for a more peaceful future. As the months passed, the galaxy continued to change. Human colonies were established on dozens of worlds, but always by invitation, never by conquest. Earth scientists worked with alien researchers to solve galactic problems. Human merchants traded fairly with alien civilizations, creating prosperity without exploitation.